to be passionate about what you do and just go for it.
Yes, it is that time.
All right, that was cool.
Let's go.
Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? Yes, thank you. It's kind of, church, you get like people sitting in the back row. We got everyone on this side. I guess it's the break side. Anyway, it's great to be back. I'm super excited to bring Lesley Silverman with me this time. Big extra round of applause.
Thank you.
Yes,
Good morning, everyone.
So a quick question, how many of you like movies or music or sports or something like that? Is there? Okay, we have something in common already. This is a good, all right. Question number 2, how many of you know what happens inside of a talent agency? Me neither, and I work there. Okay, but we actually brought a real agent with us today. This is gonna be super cool. We're gonna unpack a little bit what actually happens behind the scenes. And third question, how many of you know what's gonna happen with the new tariff on motion pictures coming, that just got announced? It was really exciting. We don't know either, but Lesley, we talked about that kind of in alignment with Kevin's presentation. What was your immediate thought?
Yeah, I mean, we heard just how we do it this morning is we don't know the answers, but we're just going to keep moving forward and we're going to keep building and we're going to keep doing our work and we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Okay, so there you go. All right, so we're going to just talk a little bit about UTA, and we're going to talk about principles of what I'm just going to call like speed to life. Some of you probably heard like, when it comes to like building software, it's like that you can tell that the software is alive, right? So we're going to talk about how quickly we actually make the innovation happen. So instead of proof of life, we're going to talk about speed of life. And then have some really fun examples of where we're seeing some really great innovation with client work, which is going to be really great. All right, so principle number 1, working at an agency, is knowing yourself. So Lesley, we're going to just talk about you. So let's talk about your background really quick.
All right. Hi, everyone. Lesley Silverman. I'm the head of new technology at United Talent Agency. I've been with the company for 10 years. Before I joined the agency, I was an attorney. I started in employment litigation, and then that call to creativity brought me to UTA a decade ago to set up a new division focused on fine art, and I moved into the technology space about 5 years ago.
And she's tremendous. That's an amazing background. If you think about it like myself, so I've been in media entertainment technology for about 25 years. I actually have a music background, so I love working at a talent agency. I feel like I understand kind of the perspective of an artist, and being able to work with Lesley is a dream if you're dealing with problems like AI. Right, so that's kind of about us. So Lesley, tell us a little bit like the teaser about UTA.
Yeah, so UTA stands for United Talent Agency, and there are 3 big agencies that sort of run Hollywood. Where UTA is really a leader is in the creator space. So digital talent, when it emerged, we didn't know really what to do, but we knew that there would be new types of talent that would need representation, and now we have the leading division focused on creators across all of these newer platforms over the past decade.
I love that. And I'll bet you still don't know what a talent agency does. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at it from an industry perspective, and then by the time you're done, I think that you'll be able to talk with your friends at the 4th of July barbecue and be able to tell them what a talent agency does. So we're going to talk a little bit about how the industry works, and we're going to look at that through the perspective of the customer in a way. In some ways, I think it's the customer of our client who we're representing. But we're going to talk about the industry. So this, if you've never known how media entertainment works, I'm going to unpack this really quick. So for myself and for Lesley, I think we would look at the world. Everything starts with the creators really at the top, because without anything to be entertained by, you don't have anything. But the definition of that, I would be very broad. So think of it as anyone that is actually at the center of creating the thing and participating in the thing that you're watching or consuming, right? So that is a musician. It's also an athlete that I think all participate in some of the world's most interesting live dramas, which is why we watch them, because they're super interesting. But that's also your film people. It's someone on Broadway. It's someone on Instagram. These are the people actually making things. We also have then, if you go to the far end of the spectrum, all of that eventually needs to get to the consumer or the fan, that's you, right? You're the kind of person to consume that. And there's only two ways, realistically, that this whole entire ecosystem is going to get paid for. One is by you paying for it through a subscription or a transaction, or it's going to be paid for some kind of advertisement, right? So one of those two things. You're going to pay with your time, or you're going to pay with your money. The entire industry works through that. Then you have these two other players at play, which are really important. One of them is consumers watch that in exhibition, so a theater or your home screen or in your car on the way down here when you're making.
I did write a song on the way down. Yes,
on the way down.
using Suno. So I'll play it for you later if you grab me.
So all of those places where you would buy a ticket or a subscription or see advertisement, right? That's going to be there. Distributors are ones that might own large libraries of things. Think of like a studio or a record label, and they have a whole bunch of a big catalog. That's your B2B. All right, so that's how our industry works. So where does UTA fit into the middle of all of that? And we are the ones that help broker those transactions. Correct, Lesley?
Right. That's right. So typically the way I like to answer this question too is people wonder, how does a talent agency get paid? And so essentially what we do is we connect dots professionally. So taking those creators, finding opportunities for them, and then finding the best possible deal structure for everyone to be successful. It's an everyone wins kind of a situation. Whereas, in litigation, where I started off, you're adversarial. Here, we're all just trying to get things made to entertain us, the audience.
So we work for clients to unlock opportunity for the industry and for clients and for brands and for consumers. And when that happens, that's how we earn our bit. So let's talk about being client-centric. So this is our third principle. It's really important for a talent agency. So Lesley, let's unpack this a little bit more. Tell us a little bit about the talent agency.
Sure. So any area of entertainment, we've talked about this a little bit, but any area that you can think about where you consume entertainment, we touch, and we have experts that sort of oversee those areas. So whether it's gaming and esports, or it's sports more traditionally, we own an agency called Clutch Sports Group, and our most notable client you see there on your screen is LeBron James, but many athletes across women's sports, men's sports, and all different types of sports. We also represent digital talent, as I mentioned. And then your traditional actors, actresses, directors, writers, kind of everything under this umbrella of entertainment and media. We work with talent, over 10,000 clients of the agency. And we'll talk a little bit later about how we touch brands as well.
Exactly. So so this is what they look like. So hopefully everyone take a look up there on screen. Does everyone see someone that they're like, oh yeah, that person's cool. Like I like them. Everyone says, yeah, raise your hand up there. All right. So and so what we think of these is like, think of each one of these 10,000 clients as each one of them is a business. So these are kind of like 10,000 CEOs is probably the best way, Lesley, right, to think about
perfect.
it? Yeah, so these are all people that have to drive innovation on a daily basis, and they participate in making things that we all care about. So everyone sees something up there you like to watch. You finished recently, maybe binged watched one of these, maybe went to a movie.
We had a great year, just closed out. Who saw the finale of White Lotus?
Yeah, White Lotus. Any White Lotus watchers?
Creator
Severance?
of White
How about
Lotus,
Severance?
our
Anyone
client,
like watching Severance? You got to watch
go.
that. It's a crazy show. All right. And that's where I think, Lesley, that we come together to help make things happen. So I think in terms of like a tour, like an artist that is going to tour around, we actually have to make those tours happen. Where should they be? Book it, do those deals. They don't happen on their own, right? So that's where we play a role, and we do that for across the board.
And we also don't treat any of our clients as singular in terms of their practice area. So they might be a musician, but we consider all of our clients multi-hyphenates, and that goes back to that sort of CEO analogy. We can explore brand opportunities for a music client, and that brand could end up taking them to very much the next level in their career.
I love it. So let's talk about brands real quick.
Great.
So how do brands intersect in with all of this?
So all of these brands you see here on the screen are brands that UTA works with. And the reason that they hire us to consult for them is because of our proximity to media and culture. We sit right in the middle of all of these 10,000 plus clients, all of these different media verticals. And so brands come to us for our expertise about the media and entertainment industry and how to grow in that space. So sometimes it's product placement, seeing the next technology platform show up on the computer screen of your favorite actor or actress in Nobody Wants This. And sometimes it's more subtle integration, like bringing a bunch of industry executives to an event like Sundance on a, out of rotation aircraft sponsored by Delta Airlines.
I love that. And so that's the thing, is thinking about it as unlocking opportunity for both talent, talent that you would see on air or on screen or in a venue, and also for brands. So we would consider that as well. So let's talk a little bit further about being client-centric. And I thought this is such a great, you have a couple great examples of this, because remember, Lesley is actually an agent. So Lesley, tell us a little bit more about being client-centric from an agent point of view.
So the face you see on your screen you may recognize as actress and comedian Awkwafina. And you may not know this, but she is really interested in technology. And so we have a great relationship with many of the big hyperscaler companies, and one of those relationships is Meta. And what I love about the work that we have done with Meta is that they're not afraid to try things. And so, we did a series of deals with Meta a couple of years ago, focused on a new Meta AI product that they were launching. And on the heels of that, they refined their thesis. And on any technology where you use Meta AI, so that could be in WhatsApp or Instagram, you can actually now speak voice to voice to Awkwafina. So if you prefer her voice as the voice of your AI interface, you can choose her. You can go on any Meta platform today and have a voice-to-voice chat with her. And I thought this was a really innovative opportunity to bring to her because she gets a couple of work days, she records, she has this really sort of iconic voice. A lot of your children have probably heard her voice in every animated voiceover under the sun. And so we know her voice and we like her voice and we want to hear her in other places, and now she can tell you, where to make a dinner reservation in Beverly Hills as a result of this really interesting deal. So she loved it, they loved it, it's working, and I use it. So
boom, it happened. There we go. So we had a good idea, and it came right to life. And if you like the voice of Awkwafina out there on Meta, you could thank Lesley Breaker when you see her later today, because she was directly involved in that. All right, so Lesley, this doesn't happen, though, just like one person. This is not the way that an agency actually works. So
right.
How about this? Can you just talk to us a little bit about what does collaboration mean to a talent agency, and why is it important to unlocking all of these innovative ideas to happen?
Again, I'm always going to resort to a story. So that same program, we pitched another client of ours. Ultimately, they didn't go with him, but they called us back months later. How many of you saw the Ray-Ban Meta Super Bowl commercial?
Yeah. How many people watched the Super Bowl this year? Right? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. That makes sense. So yeah, if you saw the Ray-Ban commercial,
with the banana and the whole scandal, Chris Pratt, Chris Hemsworth, Kris Jenner. So what you saw was the product of us kind of collaborating both with Meta, but also internally. I'm not Chris Pratt's talent agent, but I work really closely with him. And, we got to problem solve and really refine the creative on that program so that you got to see a really hilarious Super Bowl commercial and a lot of subsequent press and media around these Ray-Ban Metas, which are, imbued with AI as well.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I might just use as a quick side note, which is for everybody here, what I might do is think a little non-linear about the way we have traditional work relationships. Lesley and I work on a daily basis together, and as you can imagine, if you could find your Lesleys out there within your organization and start bringing what I'm actually calling the knowledge base of what some of the internal professionals need to do directly in line with your clients and your customers, I think you can unlock opportunity at even a faster rate, because I've learned a ton from you, and I think that we've also worked really hard to kind of work and further some of our relationships with brands and some other things.
That's right. And Eric's challenged me to think broader about the technology industry. So I came to him with the thesis, and I was focused on one company, and then we got to talk about that thesis with all of their competitors in the marketplace and really try to figure out who the right partner is for us. So, we work really closely together, and we are meeting regularly to talk about not just how our clients are leveraging this technology, which I think is the most important learning that we get access to, but also how do we as a company grow.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the next one of my favorite, and I know one of yours, being an entrepreneur. This is a really important one to us. How many people have seen this before? If you've worked in, this is Walt Disney's flywheel picture. If not, you can go find this on the internet. This is actually super interesting. A lot of people think of oh, Walt Disney's really creative. He was a tremendous businessman and really thought about the integration of all the pieces working together. He was an entrepreneur from day one. And I think that's one of the things that we're seeing from our vantage point is that we're seeing entrepreneurial behavior across the industry. And I think if you look at a lot of the major media companies, they're not in one thing. They're understanding the interconnection between these things, and they're creating opportunities between them, which is where we often sit, is in the middle of all of that. And that's because what we want as consumers is we actually like it when all those dots connect for us, right?
Yes.
And so I think that's one of the things that we're seeing a lot. So Lesley, let's talk a little about, you're a dot connector. So
yes.
When it comes out, this is giving you guys, everything you see on the flywheel, those are businesses and departments as a part of UTA. What does it mean to be an entrepreneur, and why is that important to you?
And just to share some perspective on this, when I joined the agency 10 years ago, we had one music agent and I think one or two music clients. And that is now an industry and an area where we are heavily indexed, heavily growing. So I think the biggest point of this giant flywheel that UTA now inhabits is actually that we go where the industry is going. And so we need to be able to be nimble, we need to be able to seize opportunities, and we need to be able to set up new business verticals where they will best serve our client. And I think for us, having ear to the ground, knowing where our clients are participating and playing in media and culture helps to inform all of the services that we can then provide to them.
Which I love. And so one of the things that we're seeing is we mentioned that we're heavy in the creator space. So if you have any of your kids or yourself are on YouTube a lot, that space is rising really quickly. And what we're actually seeing is that entrepreneurialism coming in with creators these days, which is pretty fascinating and actually driving behavioral change of the studio model. So if you work at a big company, my offer to you right now is think like an entrepreneur. That's exactly what we're seeing from an industry point of view. And it's amazing that to see what we're seeing with some of kind of the folks coming out of creators like Kai Cenat and some others.
Yeah.
All right, but I do want to get to these because this is really important. One of the things I love about the creators is they make things and they change our perspective on things. We have some really big things that are happening in our industry, from the way that AI is going to help us create content, to synthetic humans, deep fakes, and all of that. The two bottom ones are ones that affect us all as enterprises. But the problem, the thing that you don't see often is what happens on the top three. So we're going to go into a couple of examples. One, I'm going to play this one right here.
We're stuck on this stupid tower in the middle of nowhere. And I don't blame you, and now we're stuck on this stupid freaking tower in the middle of freaking nowhere. And it's all my fault.
軽蔑してるよね。仕方ないよ。
Y es todo por mi culpa.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing what we're seeing with synthetic voice and synthetic lip sync right now, and the ability to move content around the world, but also be able to make adjustments and change it to make it age appropriate in certain other cases. But we have some of our own clients that are also doing some really tremendous work here. This is something I would definitely recommend. We ran an AI study last year from our IQ group, Lesley, that kind of deep dive on kind of where were creators thinking about things and where their head's at. And I think this one statement here, 3 in 4 creators think that it will elevate content. So let's look at some examples of elevation. So could we move into our first example here? And then Lesley will take us through a couple of these examples. I need to hit it one more time. Lesley, Momo.
So what you just saw was a sizzle reel of work by our client Momo Wang. Momo is a traditional animation filmmaker. You would know her from her work with Illumination on the Minions movie. And she's one of a handful of clients that we are now following very closely because she picked up generative AI tools and started to recreate how we think about animation. So everything you just saw in that sizzle, text-to-video prompting, not a lot of traditional animation. So really fascinating.
Fantastic. All right, so let's go to, it looks like they gave us bonus time, I think. So we're going to go to example number 2. Thank you very much for bonus time.
Florp, can you come to the front of the class and tell us what you learned on your solar vacation?
My name is Florp, and this is the solar vacation video I made for my trip to planet 3582, colloquially known as Earth. Earth is home to over 3 trillion living entities. Some of my favorites are the praying mantis, jellyfish, and axolotls. Of all the creatures on this planet, the most peculiar is one called the human. On my trip, my parents informed me that they had visited these creatures before. Mom and Dad visited Area 51 on their honeymoon. Mom warned me never to get close to the humans because they're dangerous and because they are scared. But I was fascinated with their world. I wanted to experience it. The carnivals, eating uncooked water species on grain, art, discotheques, Black Friday. I saw they made a lot of mistakes, or what they called oopsies, like when they burned down that big library that had all the knowledge that we gave them, or when that Austrian duke went on vacation to Bosnia. I wondered if they were always like this, always so scared of things that they couldn't understand. What I learned from them is that even though they do oopsies, like lots of oopsies, they keep trying. And sometimes they get it right. That's how they made contact with us. Even if they were the 3,582nd planet to do so, it's still pretty cool. This was my time with the humans on Earth. Thank you.
I think that could have been the trailer for Kevin's speech. All right, so I got to get to this last example. I'll let you recap it. We're going to use this, and then I'll let Lesley recap us because we'll be out of time.
Creative agency and
We'll be 1 minute over.
telling your story elevated by design. We have Emmy-grade staff creatives and are immersed in all the latest technology, including, yes, AI. We were birthed from a changing industry and accept that change is the only constant.
Toys R Us has just dropped
A minute-long promo film created almost entirely with AI.
Toys R Us Studios and Native Foreign created the first text-to-video branded AI film. 1.4 billion impressions and counting, our viral piece reached the entire globe and inspired conversations about the future of marketing.
Native Foreign exists to get you high-end creative, anchored in strategy. Located centrally in Los Angeles, California, we have a variety of storytelling tools and techniques at our fingertips. Native Foreign is your story elevated.
I love Nick and that team too.
So those last 2 examples are 2 newer clients of UTA. We, historically, so for example, when YouTube launched in the early 2000s, we had this hypothesis that there might be new types of creators that would amass audience on this new platform that we hadn't heard of before. And in the same vein with generative AI, you're seeing new filmmaking emerge. So that first example, Florp, was created by our clients Shy Kids, who made the first ever Sora film to go viral called Airhead. And this is a follow-on to Airhead. So actually none of the actors or actresses that you're seeing in that film are real. They're all AI generated. And that second film is our client Native Foreign and Nick Cleveroff, who used generative AI to compose the first brand film in collaboration with Toys R Us, a film that also went viral across the world.
I love it. All right, well, thank you guys so much for your time. Lesley, if you want to bring us home, just a couple messages from today. If you said, hey, you want this group to be thinking a little bit more like Hollywood talent and
Yes.
celebrities, what would you offer?
I think we started with know yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Know yourself, know where you can be innovative and collaborative. So we talked about entrepreneurship and collaboration. And then how can you be the creative? How can you pick up new tools and be creative within your organization?
I love that. So with that, I offer you to be creative today. Thank you very much for having us.